I want to talk about Avengement. This is a newish film, came out in June 2019, starring Scott Adkins, Nick Moran and Craig Fairbrass. On first looks, it appears to be a sort of pretty standard British gangster exploitation B-movie. If you're familiar with the cast of actors that's in this, then you'll think, oh, this is going to be another standard gangster and or hooligan film. It seems that this company of actors have either got a license for the Essex Boys stories or just can't resist getting funding and writers for really generic gangster films that all feature hard men doing hard things. This, however, is a bit different. Whilst it is about British gangs and a revenge story, it's centred around Scott Adkins' character, who was a fighter whose brother was a sort of mid-level gangster in London, and he runs an errand for him. On this errand he gets arrested, and the police want to use him as a mole or for information on his brother's larger activities, which are sort of blackmailing people to do dirty work for him, or cuckooing as they call it. It's not really important to the plot. He goes away in prison and it keeps getting assaulted and beaten up, and through this time you see him getting all these scars and disfigurements, and when he comes out he escapes after his mum's death, which you see at the start, and he looks for revenge because he finds out, as it is revealed through the story, that his brother had put a price on his head, which is why he kept getting assaulted like every day and stabbed all the time when in prison, because his brother was under the impression or worried that he was going to grass on him. And you end up with the main story being played out in a local pub where he's holding his brother's gang hostage whilst he waits for his brother to arrive. And as he's waiting, he relays the story of how he got there to them, and we see in sort of long flashbacks his time in prison and the lead up to the point that you're at now. This is all really done quite well. You can see it's got a small budget for things like sets and sort of cast, which is fine because they spend the money elsewhere, making there be really good and frequent action scenes. This isn't a film where there's like one or two action scenes. There are constant action scenes throughout, which is what you want to watch. If you're watching a movie about gangsters and it's got Scott Adkins in, you want to see action, and you want to see it well directed and well played out, and it is. There are some scenes that are just properly violent, but also fun. I know you shouldn't say fun violence, but they are. You watch them and you think, oh, that hurt, but you also think that's pretty cool as well. And it's not believable in any way, some of the fight scenes, because he takes out like 10 blokes in a pub or loads of prisoners. There are some bits that will make you cringe. There's one point where they have a curb stomp, and I was like, ugh, can't see it. But then they show it again from another angle later in the film when you're not expecting it, and you actually see the curb stomp proper go ahead and all his teeth break. Just cover your eyes if you don't like that kind of thing. They also show me prison napalm, which is effectively some hot water with a load of sugar cubes melted in it that they throw in someone's face. That is something I never thought of. You always think of hot oil or something like that when you're doing homemade sort of napalmy syrups in these films. But yeah, sugar in water. Of course, it's just a red hot boiling syrup and it'll stick to you. Yeah, it's terrible, really. And there's other things like stabbings and that. You can see there's been some edits in the violence because certain bits cut off unnaturally, just as something very violent about to happen. I think there's a bit where he's either going to bite someone's throat out or bite someone's ear off, and they just cut. And you think, oh, I bet they showed that and they had to get rid of it for censors or something. I found it a fun film. It was enjoyable, passed the time, kept me fully interested throughout, and I think the presence of the star Scott Adkins and a better director, whose name I'll pop up down here, really helped. He's done another film recently with Scott Adkins that was good called The Debt Collector, that's out on Netflix. That was good and fun and had a different kind of ending as well that you wouldn't have expected, so it's worth checking that out as well. But Avengement, not your standard B-movie exploitation gangster film, a step above, I think.